that you can use for your cover. If you want to pin it to your cover over the fabrics. Oh, and here's my fourth or fifth dress. This actually represents the fabric toile. So before they make the final dress and after Christian does the sketch, his head seamstress designer will actually go sculpt it using toile, which is usually a muslin fabric. And so here's my miniature version. Pattern paper that came from Eloise's 1926 homework book. I digitized it because I imagine the top looks like this. So here's your muslin toile example. It's not fully embroidered, but it's just to get the shape. So this is how I sculpt. I just sewed 2 pieces. I did sew the top, but this is what the top probably would have been similar to. And so you just take your pattern, and of course for you who sew, you just cut it on the, sew on the bias. I made her a shoe, a paper shoe. I made it flat so that it fits in here, and this is the digital from Whimsical Adventure. But I hand sketch some shoes. Don't laugh. Hand sketch the shoe, and if I like the shape, I cut it out. And so I wanted this to look like my aunt's toe shoes, but also her flats. She loves a ballerina flat. Covered it with Whimsical Adventure, waxed her digital. And then the heel, I like kitten heels, so instead of making the actual heel, I just folded some of the paper so that when it sits on the page, it actually is, you can't see it from the camera, but lifted off the page. And then this would be a strap around your ankles so that it's something simple that goes with the dress, no matter what the fabric. So this is from 1954. It's a silk file, off-white dress, embroidered by Renee, House of Renee, and it came from the Muget line. So here's that, and here are some of the fabric, or the threads for the embroidery. So if you look at the embroidery, they're actually dianthus, so they're the pinks that I had on the tissue paper earlier. So remember that piece there. Don't lose your shoes. Okay, so on this one is a free-floating sketch. So this is representing Catherine, his sister, in a pocket with an original French letter page, which the rest of the letter will be in the back, and then some lace ephemera from Virginia. But this is one of the dresses, one of the templates from Sasebo that you could use. Just wanted to show you that. And then here's a digital wax paper to form the rest of the dress, just to keep it flat. And then on the back is a sketch of that dress. So this is how I imagine Christian probably, of course without the color, just sketched it out simply. Has a few pieces of fabric. He numbers it. This isn't the actual number, I just gave it that, but that's the season. Below the knee, and then here's a little piece of fabric to represent the silk, off-white silk. Here are the pinks, a book page, flip that down, and here's the rest of the French letter addressed to someone in Roulet. I think this is in Normandy. So this letter was actually addressed to someone in Normandy. Music sheet, original music sheet, again because he wanted to be a composer, or he tried to be a composer. A little press leaf. And then this one I did not make because I want to embroider it, or try, for book 2 for seamstress. But I wanted to include it here because look at those wild grasses and flowers. And I'll try to remember to include the description of this dress. Again, free floating, so you could use this as the cover if you want. And then a little hand embroidered French charm from Catherine French Biaudou. Oh, I love these French papers, these antique papers. Look, this is how you can, if you own your own book, trace over copyrighted designs, or if you're learning how to sketch, to get the proportions right. 1 head, 2 for the chest, torso. Total length of the models are typically 9 heads from top to bottom. So these are Italian pages. No, this one's French. I thought I was using some of Roxy Creations. Embroidery patterns for Athena. And then this one is, but anyway, I built you a pocket using one of the freebie digitals from Inky Finger Society, an original lotion label. You can write on the back, and this one includes some paper for writing, secret writing. This is the 1800s French ledger. This was an original sample card that I got from Catherine French Biadoux, but I've since given away or put the original in one of the books I made 2 years ago during COVID. And this pocket here is clear over the pocket so that you could use that to put some of your pressed flowers in. So again, I like to glue mine on directly. This is an original Bon Marché fabric sample, and you'll see the card and other part of the fabric samples throughout the book. So I decided to keep them together. Here's a hidden paper clip on this French wallpapers page, original page, embossed cover just to give you some writing on the back, a few pieces. Dictionary page from 1940, right around his birthday. And then here are my shoes. So if I like the shape, I would put it onto a harder, heavier, not cardstock, but art paper, cut it out, and then I covered it with my different wrapping and khadi papers or Indian papers here. Create a collection of shoe post-its or something, or digitals. Don't laugh. But that's how many iterations it does take me to come up with a shoe. The paper that you could actually put onto a plate, decoupage onto a plate, but I chose to leave it here. I aged it up a little bit before putting it in here, and then I waxed it, which is actually difficult to wax because of the type of paper that Monahan paper is used for for using as a decoupage backing. Here's one of the altered paper clips on the top using my digital. I did some decoupaging on there and then decoupaged the paper clip attachment. And it's an envelope with some little bits and pieces, little labels that you could use. And these are stickers. So, these are from England actually, but they're handmade papers. So they feel really luxurious and thick. So just a couple of samples, and you'll see me using these papers. So yeah, these two I think are from England instead of Italy. History of wallpaper, hand-painted wallpapers in France, altered paper clip again. You can see I tried to hide as many of the paper clips, but it's another one of those envelopes that you make using from your dies. But in this case, I just made it a paper clip. It has a card of I think this might be a dogwood, flowering dogwood. And then here's a picture of the lady from Harper Bazaar who actually coined New Look. She was the American editor of Harper Bazaar, attending the first Christian Dior show in 1947. So that's her in the very back. On one of the Polaroid that I didn't like how it turned out. So I just French label, wine label, and then one of the wrapping papers. An original French perfume label that I went ahead and backed. This is an art sketch by Da Vinci. And then this is another one of those Polaroids where the miniature Polaroid, that is the piece that you remove. And so I put one of the authentic Bon Marché fabrics. You saw the blue one up front. Here's the black sample of that same tartan. So this is actually a tuck, but it's an ad, a Tekla ad, a jewelry ad, French ad. Very old, so I have that on to protect it. And then another tuck with embossed wallpaper here, and then diary page from his birthday, January 21st, 1940, so he would have been working for Lucien Lelong at that time. Shoe here is from my digital from a couple years ago. of these 1926 sketches. I did that because I figured in the 20s he was teaching himself how to sketch and then selling the sketches to these fashion houses. So some of these sketches, depending on which fashion house, if they don't have a name associated, might have been a Christian Dior sketch. This one is a black tulip, what I call black tulip. Some of these paper clips are really strong. So here's one of my sketches, because again, you know, he kept them simple, so I wanted my ephemera that I made for it to be simple and clean. And then a book page, and if you turn that upside down, to me it looks like either a tulip or, what is that? It's one of my favorite flowers. I'll think of it and flash it on the screen. But this is, did I put this on? Did I glue it on? I did. Oh yeah, it is part of the book. It's in the book itself, but I went ahead and sketched on it because I couldn't help myself. Piece of the velvet, so the original is velvet, and I'll have that description included. But I thought it might have a heavy satin lining, so this piece is satin. And in the picture, she has a ruby and diamond bracelet, so I have a little piece of that. And then here's a little piece of the lining up here with its number, and then that number associates with the velvet. Options are in here for you. On the back is ephemera I got from eBay, Dior Home men's line. Even though this book isn't about his line, it's I just thought, because I wanted to include a picture of him, and I love the gold and black juxtaposition and the stars. Again, he found a star on the ground. One of those stars that you add to medals, the French medals that people receive. You'll see this French medal on his sister's ephemera, what I call a Catherine clutch, because she actually did receive a couple of medals for her work during World War II. Original postcard, and then some of the black trim that I use associated with the dress on the previous page with his simple sketches, and the large format pages, so sketching. And this is a handmade Nepal paper that I covered the book page with. These book pages come from a book of provincial homes and chateaus, so I thought it was fitting, because actually after they lost the house in Granville during the 1920s crash, his sister moved to Calian, I think is the town in Provence, and she had her own house and grew her own rose gardens, and eventually her rose gardens became her business. So they were providing roses, I think, to the perfume industry. This picture is not Catherine, but it is one of these original metal plates, and I think that's what she might have looked like when she was younger. So this represents Catherine and Catherine's new house in Provence. And then this is Christian's house that he purchased near Grasse, also near his sister, in Montereau, I think. So these are pictures of his actual house that the Perfume of Dior actually purchased 2013 and renovated in time for a 2016 inauguration. But that's the house and the gardens. And then this is a Coromandel, or it's actually an art paper from Inky Finger Society, where she coffee stained and gold painted it. And it reminded me for some reason of the mountains on the Coromandel screens that I had to sell last year, 2 years ago. And so I took one of my digitals representing the different Japanese evergreens and mountain regions and just glued it onto the paper. And this is actually a tuck, so you can use that as a tuck, but it reminds me of Coromandel screens, because in his house in Provence, he actually has a fancy chinoiserie style wallpaper. It's not this one. It's a hand-painted French wallpaper. And his house there is called La Col Noir. It's a chateau, obviously. And then this one was the digital that I used for my Instagram. But I thought it just looked good there. And this house actually has gardens or property. I think that's where they grow the Rose of May and the Lily of the Valley that they use for their perfumes. And in 2016, Charlize Theron helped inaugurate the the renovated home. I'll link that video below. And of course, she's the ambassador for J'adore le Papier. I wish. She's an ambassador for J'adore, the perfume, Dior perfume. Of the Coromandel screens, my digitals. And I just covered this page because I didn't like that picture of a provincial home. This is a provincial home that, to me, looked like it might be a patio in his actual house. So these images that I do include of Dior, again, because of copyright, I purchased from eBay sellers, mostly in France, because they own digital, what do they call that, subscriptions to Getty Images. So I guess there's a Getty Image tier or level where you can sell the images, but it's really costly. It's a major investment. So these eBay sellers, actually that's their business, is selling images. So this is him at his provincial house, this Colnois home with artist Christian, who was also, I'll flash his last name, his other images in here, but he also was a fashion sketcher. He was an artist and designer. So they were good friends. This is what I imagine the backyard to look like. It's actually a modern provincial backyard. One of my digitals covering one of the provincial kitchens, a little too bright, so I just covered it. This is a sketch, not original, but a sketch of Christian Dior's original for his very first couture employer, Robert Piguet. So this comes from a French magazine representing a 1940s advertisement, 30s. Yeah, because he worked for Robert Piguet in the 30s. So this was a 1930s advertisement for a Robert Piguet design sketched by or designed by Christian Dior while he was working for him. So this is from eBay. I forgot to give it a label. I did go ahead and include it in the binding. So this is a little bit about his early years. My digital just to kind of give a little color and so that you can journal on the back. These are napkins decoupage. These napkins are from, here are originals from Eloise's design. So there's the sailor collar. And these are actual, this is how her book is. It's all of this onion skin paper. So if you can see the embossing of this here. So I decided to include that, but I also digitized it and put it onto your tracing paper. So this is on a PNG, so there's no background. So you can print it anywhere. But if you want to enlarge it and try to recreate some of these for example, the sailor collar onto your own fashions, you can have that enlarged. Here are the slides that I included. This is a slide page from my dad. He used to use his Hasselblad, so his slides were this big. They were extra large format slides. But these actually come from the book, which one is it? Vogue on Christian Dior. So these are Vogue images that I just cut from the book. See there? That were not used in the magazine article that they wrote. So, or these two were. The ones that were X'd, I think, were not. So, or the other way around. But so I decided to include those images there. Digitals that I created. Representing his Provence house. So let me see if I have a white background. So this is a Provence house with lavender on the side. Oops, stay in camera. Roses, gravel pathways. And this represents a cliffside pathway that leads to the cemetery in Granville. And then here's some of the PET tape that I included. So you could actually use that to tape over images to make them look like slides. In Paris, this is an altered paper clip, so this is how I did one of the sculpted half templatized dresses from Sasibo, but then I sculpted some ribbon that I got from Chris and just sewed it onto the template, and I made it a hidden paper clip. So handkerchief, French handkerchief, and one of the pressed flowers from my friend's garden, azalea cover, 1855, so I included the whole French document with this one here, property. Here's the original document, and I decided to keep it as a booklet. Some of the rose petals, Rose of May, pressed flowers, More PET tape that you could use. Blue hydrangea from my mom's garden, pressed from last summer, not this past summer, but summer 2023 for this blue layout. And again, more of my digital, making these sacks. Original French documents from Miab. This one has a blue hue. It might be hard to see on camera. Blue-green, sea green. The wallpaper sacks. And I put images, these little images that I recently purchased of Princess Grace, because as it turns out, when her son did an inventory of her closet when she died, over 30% of her closet was Christian Dior. 30%. So she will be making an appearance in books 2 and 3 as well. Again, I love this blue layout, the blues. Blue wallpaper, secret journaling tuck, some vintage French paper, and then this authentic French purse. I either got it from Catherine or Sarah. Forgive me for not remembering. But I do like to keep these because, again, these new skincare lines, lip glosses, they all use rosemary, jasmine, and some of the other flowers that they grow in grass at his grass property. And at the museum, or not museum, the Dior archives, they have old packaging from the 40s. So one day, old packaging from the 2020s, you know, in 50 years, in 2070, someone's going to come across this and say, look at this old packaging of this lip gloss and the skincare. And then this pouch is actually sewn and glued onto the book page, or to the document. I do have this paper clip just so that they don't flail around too much, but that's your tuck. So you have your own little Dior archive right here. And you can add your own collections, your own ephemera, if you're a collector. This is a book page, floating book page, one of my favorites, and this is where I got my ideas for the shoes and how I started sketching them. But these shoes were actually from the only time that Christian Dior did the shoe designer's name on the label itself. I'm embarrassed to say, I don't remember. Oh, and here's the other, the original Bon Marché, or Printemps. I thought it was the Bon Marché one, fabric sample. So there were 3, the black, the navy blue, and then here's a red, Christian's favorite color. Here's one of the shoes that I sketched, just cut it out. So I had sketched it onto some photo paper, obviously. Handmade paper. And then this can float around. You can stick it anywhere as a sticker, or leave it with this page, back it with some of your journaling. And then this is Rita Hayworth. She was there in 1951. And she purchased something like 16 dresses or 16 outfits in one visit with Christian. So again, another photo of him to include. House of Dior, 7 years of haute couture. This was part of the Australian Museum's write-up. They let you download the guide. So I downloaded part of the guide and the tags. I didn't end up using the tags, but you can use them. Eco-dyed paper here, again to go with the pinks. I just love this dress. Look at that dress. I'll put the description of the dress, but that is the very first Yves Saint Laurent design dress. So this is, if he died in 1957, this is a 1956-57 when Yves Saint Laurent was 2021, and as a junior designer for Christian Dior before he took over. Original pattern paper sewn into the book. I like doing that. Of course, you can cut some of it out. Some of the original Eloise homework that I digitized. And in her homework, she actually puts fabric cutouts, miniature fabric or miniature paper cutouts of the patterns. So these are the real life pattern sizes that she's cutting, and some of her handwritten notes, some of the regular sleeves, ready-made kimono dress. It's probably why I was influenced also for the jacket, for the theater jacket. And then digitized her measurements for the different types of sleeves. Oh, and here's another piece of ephemera. This one is from the 2015 Granville show. Yeah, 16th of June through the 1st of November 2015. I made this pocket tuck really tight just so that the postcard wouldn't fling around. And then I backed it with this antique handwritten receipt, just because I love the look of authentic ephemera with antique handwriting. And then I just backed it with antique French paper so you can write. But it's floating because this could also be the cover of your book if you do want it to look branded. Some of the onion skin paper where you can practice sketching or tracing some of the images. One of the floating book pages. It's not Dior, but look how floral designs influence our jewelry as well. So it's garden influence on haute couture fashion, accessories, makeup, history of the floral motif. So this could be your cover. You could just pin it on. Some more onion skin. Original pages from 1957, the year he died. And then the year he died, I placed these pressed lavender, English lavender, from my mom's garden. And it smells so good. So when you turn to these pages, you will smell lavender. These have been pressed for a few months already. They were from early summer, because he did have lavender growing at his new house as well, the one in Provence. Little tuck with some extra paper, wrapping paper that I used for, you could use this to cover some more of the paper clips, make more hidden paper clips or layouts. The digital from Whimsical Adventure, I had printed to mulberry paper, which is difficult to get through to your printer, but I love the look of that, so you might be able to use more. Some schoolwork from 1962, and then some more images of Grace Kelly, of course. And I think that's her Hermes bag. But there she is. A little floral motif here from Catherine. This is one of those die cuts of the slide, but I printed it to my sticker paper using my digital there. And then there's the name of the flower that's in the slide here. So that's one of specimens. Over 200 pages, I think, of this book. Little miniature envelope. I'll put some photo corners in this one, just so you can add more of your own images. This is a 4-leaf clover charm from Catherine. I think it's a metal grommet for some French shades maybe. And then some French lace. A photo of random people, but I like to think of them as possibly perfume makers. In the Grass Gardens original document from 1923, both pages obviously. And then these are French ads, original French perfume ads, again because of the floral contents. And I didn't make this into the perfume journal, but these come from Sarah, Crafty Paper Bits. She was good enough she's been saving images of Dior perfumes for me. This one is French for trends, recent trends. Original perfume label that you can stick anywhere in some of the handmade paper. Some of the different French perfumes. And then here's a Dior Fahrenheit. I love this washi because it kind of has a nice imagery with this very masculine page. This is how I would dress minus the hat. I'm just very much a blazer, very tailored, almost always in pants. Yeah, except for a few skirts during the winter. Christian Dior, one of the latest scents. Again, these are in French here. Here's a Guerlain. That was in my perfume journal last year. Dior ads. I think these now might be American magazines from Susan. And I backed this magazine, which is larger. She loves to collect magazines. And I put another authentic French soap label. And a French biscuit card. This is one of the only pages that, again, because I used a harder cardstock, won't lay flat. And that's why it's not laying flat. But you can kind of crease it a little bit or use one of your, you know how we always have something to put it on. But this is the thing that, what's her name, did for Ruby and Pearl design team. But it looks like a star. It's a something, I'll just flash her video down below. But it's one of the wallpapers on the end papers that I used. And then when you open it up, it's an origami piece. Pull on it like this. And I put some dried hydrangea petals, blues and purples, in there for you to use throughout the book. And those are from my mom's garden. So Danielle, your tutorial worked. I did use origami paper though to make it a little easier. And then I just put an image of the lily of the valley on the back. So you could do that. Tissue paper. And then I glued on pressed maple leaf on there from my mom's garden. Oh, I love this ad. This is why I made your lipstick. But this toile here was a toile at his Avenue 30 Avenue Montaigne store for the accessories. Toile de Joie, black and white. So this is it. That was lining that book. And Maria Grazia Chiori, she redesigned it or reimagined it. So this is a reimagined version of the original toile he had in his shop. And that's what she put on this porcelain lipstick cover. I think only 5,000 of this lipstick were made. And I remember when it came out thinking, 500 some, 580 or 5 something dollars. I can't afford that, but it's so beautiful and it's refillable. So you can refill it with your lipstick. But this gives you the history of the toile, the lipstick itself, how there's only 5,000 made. And this was the original lipstick from 1953, meaning the color from 1953. That's the boutique in 1949. And how this, if you have one of these, that's a collector's item. So keep the packaging, keep everything for one day. For your daughters or sons who like to collect more of the French perfume ads, American perfume ads. This is one of the images I purchased from eBay, from one of those sellers who has a Getty Images license. One of my tissue papers in pink. It's a pink cherry tree, I think, blossom. But you could use this to decoupage onto any of your pages, use as backgrounds for some of your pages or some of your ephemera, or wrap a present. It's up to whoever owns this. Some of the original French or original vintage drawing paper, so the sketch paper, that's what prompted me to start sketching in the book, and I only sketched once. I didn't want to sketch in your book. Some of the carbon, so that if you want to trace some of the originals and you're still practicing, or trace patterns onto your pattern paper. This can be folded down, obviously, so that your book doesn't, you know, stick out, have too many pages sticking out. Because when I built it, as you can see, the bottom has nothing sticking out. It's just a matter of how you lay some of the fabrics or ephemera in your book, obviously, but it can stand in a book shelf by itself. So this is a 2-pager, so you can make your own designs. I just love it because when I make the seamstress book, you'll see a lot of the seamstresses using the white chalk. Again, here's the box cover for some of the makeup I had from 2023, but it would be fun to keep this for whoever owns this in 25, 50, 100 years to see some of the original packaging. And there's that French toile wallpaper on the back from Sarah. Here's the back with the Granville house and some of the wildflowers that are still on the back here that I embroidered. And I'll do that again. Oh, what I didn't show you in detail. Here, let's flip. See, this is my favorite, the little lavender right there. And then the little, I forget what this one is called, but it is in the Miss Dior. Oopsie, sorry. My camera work's going to be fumbly because of the size. But for the Miss Dior flower, this one here is this little pom-pom, purple pom-pom. I'm calling this Catherine's Clutch because, again, she grew a rose garden. That was her business at her Calian house in Provence. So this is a picture of Catherine, one of the very few photos out there. Whimsical Adventure, to see that one digital. She had multiple images. These are Klimt oil paintings, I think, is what she said. Who was it? Her channel, is it Sharon Deep Rose? I'll link her channel below. She had a couple of these pockets in her big first red journal that she did a couple months ago. Here's one of my digitals of the Provence house with the roses and lavender and the gravel. So I just kind of imagined that that's what the house in Provence looks like. And this is an image of a boy along the cliffs of Normandy. And this is napkin from Monique that I've been hoarding for over a year. Authentic French Medal of Peace. I got these from Monahan paper, so these are individual pins, authentic French pins. It's yours to do with what you like. And again, comes with the box, so you can put away your dresses. So thanks for joining me for this super long flip through, but I thought the history was worth sharing. So thanks for joining me. 2 more books, hopefully before Christmas, one Thanksgiving, one in December. Book 2 will be Seamstresses, Sew Me a Garden. Again, floral theme, but more about the seamstresses at Dior. And then book 3 will be about Dior. So it'll have most of my original ephemera I've been collecting of photos and magazines. Anyway, thanks for joining me, and I will see you soon.